Hey, what's up everybody? Jed here from The Quality Adventure. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna do a comparison of two of Nike's lightest racing shoe, the original Streakfly versus the newest Streakfly 2. So for our test today, I'm gonna be doing a 10K workout, 5K on each shoe, and I'm gonna be doing it close to threshold workout. After that, we will break down the data that we gathered from this test to see if there are any significant differences between these two and if one is better than the other. All right, enjoy today's video. Let's get to it.
Hey, yeah. Flipping the script from my old ways. Flick up the switch, I'm in flow state. Commas, I'm going through grown pains. I wasn't used to shit being so gross. I tighten the threads at a crochet. I wake up the cushion, some OJ. The last tape I dropped was a rollway. It's yellow, I swear it's a Coldplay. Viva la vida, I'm swiping the visa. We working, I'm taking off no days. Cause we throwing shots like a gun range. Till we finally make it to front page. A head full of dreams, some bread for the schemes. A heart that been feeling like it's a machine. I'm pushing extremes, cause I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Yeah, stay on my P's, get hate off my body like it's a disease. I'm walking off after we taking the lead. She call me Big Papi, I'm David Ortiz. It's what you've been waiting to see. There's moments where you gotta take it or leave. And I'm taking everything, some call it greed, but I call it living out what you believe. And I've been believing since no one was seeing the vision board. Racing with fate all my life, a collision course. Fighting with snakes, I'm a lion like Gryffindor. Fuck, I be asking permission for this type of shit, what we breaking tradition for. Clearing the mission, don't care who the
First
victim,
to
I'm
lace
dying
up
for what
is
I'm living for.
OG Streakfly. This, by the way, I don't know if you can still get it at the Nike website. I think they took it out or they're all sold out, but you can still find them at the outlets. That is where I actually got mine. I purchased this for $51 and this retails $170, so that's a huge steal. So if you can find them in the outlets, go ahead and check your local outlets. If not, I think they're still online at Dick's Sporting Good and Heartbreak Hill, and see if you can get them. I don't know, they're probably on sale because the Streakfly 2 is already out. But as you can see, lockdown is a little bit of an issue for me here. That's why I got the runner's knot. But on the second version, I don't have that issue. But yeah, let's get this laced up and let's head out. Alright, we're all laced up. Let's do a quick outfit check. Alright, so let's start from top. I have the bandit hat, then Oakley glasses. I have the Target sleeveless shirt, and then this is my favorite, the Nike Trail half tights. I like it because it has a lot of pockets. I have my action camera here, more pockets here for gels, and I have it in the back too. Okay, and then for watch, I have the Garmin Forerunner, and then I am wearing the chest strap for my heart rate monitor. What else? I think that's it for the outfit check. Let's go ahead and do the first workout. Let's go.
Ay, coming in, yeah, flex. I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah. State your name, been dope on flame. I just switched the lanes. Damn, he did it again. I just flipped the pain. Stripping and dipping in bass, slab on everything. Swimming, you shaking away, cause I got big racks coming. I put my low racks on it.
Alright, so the plan for today is 1 mile warm up and then 2 miles close to race pace, and then we're gonna go back home, change shoe, and then do it all over again. Yes, go. This is why I love the OG Streakfly, because there's no fuss about it. Just straight up Zoom X foam with a midfoot shank. That's all you get in the shoe. So it
is very low to the ground. It gives you that good ground feel, kind of like a track spike. Super light, and it disappears on your feet. So that's why I love the Streakfly line from Nike. That is something that you want when you're doing speed workouts, because you don't want to be running in a heavy shoe. All right, we're still in warm up. After 1 mile, we're gonna throw it down. All right, 1 mile warm up done. Let's hit it. Our target pace is 7:30, 7:35. That's where we're running for 2 miles. Let's go. Right on pace. $7:35. Right on pace. Mile 1, 7:21. Recover. 7:31, mile 2. Ooh, that's tough. All right, man. That's tough. It says that I'm not quite in shape yet. Man. Whew. Alright, done with the Streakfly OG. Time to swap it up with the Streakfly 2. I need to hydrate. It's so hot today. So for hydration, we have the BPN with an additional Scratch Lab. So it has carbs and electrolytes. This is gonna get me by for the second set. Whew. All right, time to lace Streakfly 2 before our body cools down. This is super narrow, even narrower than the OG. But as far as the fit, this for me has a better lockdown fit, and I don't even need to do a runner's knot for this one. I also like the laces. It has a little bit more stretch compared to the original notch laces that they have on their super shoes, and it's thinner too, so that should cut down the weight. Feels really good on feet though. I feel like I'm not wearing anything. It almost feels like a barefoot shoe. I don't know, have you guys tried those Vibram shoes? I have one of those before, and it feels like this one. I love this Spark cushion socks. You can't get them on the Nike website, but you can get it at Dick's Sporting Goods. I don't know why they don't have it at the website. That's kind of weird. Anyway, it's nice for like these types of run where you need that extra cushion but you don't get it on the shoe. You get extra padding on the socks. Good lockdown. Good to go. Round 2. Ooh, I gotta tighten this. Hold up. Hold up. Forgot to pause the watch. See. Okay, good to go. Going up. Okay, 1 mile warm up. We have 1 mile to readjust on the Streakfly 2 because it feels completely different than the OG. Right here, you're more on your midfoot, so your toe off should be faster, your transition should be shorter. So I'm expecting on the data that my ground contact time will be shorter compared to the first version. Alright, let's get this done. It's getting warm, really warm. I think we're gonna hit like 91 degrees today. So that's a little taste of summer. Almost done with the warm up. Fast. When I warm up, slow it down. Ooh, that breeze feels so good. It's nice to be running in the shade. My Garmin says slow down. I'm going too fast for my warm up. Alright, back in range. Alright, here we go. 2 miles. I'm kind of tired, but I gave it my best effort. Let's go. 11:45. $7:35 is still. Yeah, 7:40. Man, I'm getting tired. 8:20. Man, I'm cooked. I still got 1 mile. I don't think I can do it, but I'm gonna push it. I'll push it. There's uphill on our way back home. Oh, oh, man, I blew up. Damn. It's really hard for me to keep my heart rate down when it's warm out like this. I'm probably right on threshold for sure. Good workout though. %63% execution on the workout. That was so bad. Save. That was hard. How did I feel? I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Is there an option there? felt strong at first. Ooh, yeah, that's right on threshold. All right, I'm gonna go get a quick shower and change up, and then we're gonna load up the data on our. We're gonna look up on our data in our Garmin app, and then wrap up this video with my final thoughts on the Streakfly OG versus the Streakfly 2. See you in a bit. Alright, we are now back at the studio, and before we dive into the data, I wanted to do a quick breakdown of the two shoes from top to bottom and then cover the changes and the pros and cons of each shoe. Let me go ahead and switch to the overhead camera, and then we will start with the upper. Alright, let's start with the upper. Both shoes are designed for shorter races, think 5K, 10K, and maybe half marathon for some runners, but there are some key changes between version 1 and 2. As far as the mesh, you can see that there are significant changes on the engineered mesh on the OG versus the version 2. The original upper is ultra thin and breathable, but not the most structured. And compared to the Streakfly 2, they added a new engineered mesh that's more supportive and it wraps around the foot better. Also, as far as lockdown, the 2 felt better because it is narrower and tighter fit. The laces are excellent on the 2, which are the same laces they put on the Vaporfly 4, which I did a review. Link on the description, and also in the corner. You can go ahead and watch that after you see this video. Also, I love that it has a little bit more stretch compared to the older notched laces. Alright, now moving into the midsole. The original Streakfly uses a full-length ZoomX foam throughout, giving it that bouncy and responsive ride, but with a more grounded feel, something that you don't feel on the Alphafly or the Vaporfly. As far as the Streakfly 2, it still uses the same ZoomX foam, but it's now tuned differently. It's a bit firmer, especially around the midfoot area, so if the original felt a little bit too soft for you, the 2 fixes that. As far as the OG, it has a P-Bax midfoot shank that gives you enough torsional rigidity without being too harsh. And on the Streakfly 2, it is now re-engineered. Nike took out the shank and replaced it with the carbon fly plate. It is more forgiving fly plate compared to the Alphafly and the Vaporfly. Nike claims that it has a more stable configuration, but I didn't feel that way. Why? Well, the OG has a wider base and the 2 has a more narrower base, and because of that I feel like the 2 is more squirrely. You really have to be on point in terms of your form, and other than that I feel like I'm more connected on turns and surges on the version 2. Now let's go ahead and talk about the pros and cons of both shoes. Let's start with the original Streakfly. As far as the pros, it is more stable at all speed. It has a great ground feel. It has a smooth turnover for a 5K or 10K effort. The ZoomX gives that amazing pop without overkill, and it's also $10 cheaper compared to the version 2. As far as the cons, it is a bit heavier. For a size 9, it weighs 166 grams. I did experience heel slippage on this one, so it requires a runner knot for me. And as far as the upper, I feel like the upper is too loose because I have more room for my feet to move around. And last con is the limited versatility. It's not ideal for longer distances. Now on the Streakfly 2, one very good pro for this one is that it is very light. It is 126 grams for a size 9. That's awesome. And basically it is 40 grams lighter compared to the OG. And because of that, I feel like you're not wearing any shoe. So this shoe can disappear on foot, which is amazing for a lightweight shoe. Also, they improved the lockdown with the new upper because of a tighter fit. This feels more of like a track shoe compared to the older version. Lastly, it feels faster on foot because you are more on front of the shoe, and that is pretty much the sweet spot. You have to be a 4-foot runner on this shoe, and that explains why it feels fast on your toe-offs. Moving on to the cons, it is slightly unstable because of the narrower landing area of the shoe. It requires proper form, and if you are a heel striker, I do not recommend this shoe for you. As far as the fit, it might be too tight for some, but for me, this is perfect. Lastly, the price bump. It's $10 more. Is it worth it? I think so, because you're getting an upgraded upper. It is lighter shoe. You have a carbon fly plate in the shoe, and you have better laces. So what more can you ask for? So I think it's still worth that price increase. All right, that's it for a quick overview of the two shoes. Let's go ahead and dive into my Garmin data. So before anything else, just a short disclaimer, I am not a certified professional to be giving advices on metrics. So everything I say is based on my own understanding on metrics. Now in this data review, we will look into cadence, vertical oscillation, ground contact time, stride length, and power. Also, my execution score for this workout is not good. It is, I think, 61% based on my Garmin data. And the closest data we can compare is on mile 1 and 2, and then from mile 4 to 5 markers, because we have pretty close splits. So let's jump into my Strava and then look at the splits so you can see what I'm talking about. So we are now on my Strava data, and here are the splits for our workout. So on mile 1, that is our warm-up pace. We did a 9:15 pace, and then for mile 2, this is our workout all the way till mile 3. So mile 2, we did a 7:22. Mile 3, it faded out a little bit. This is also an incline, a little bit of an uphill. So as you can see, that elevation gain right there. So our mile 3 pace is 7:42, and then we did change into our shoe. On mile 4, that is also our warm-up. We did a 10:13 pace, and then on mile 5, 7:49, and then mile 6, that's when I was cooked because it was hot, and I was really not carb properly. The only carb I have on my system was the drink. I had the BPN and Scratch Lab drink. Other than that, I was running on an empty stomach, so no power on the legs. So anyway, no excuses. We still made mile 6 8:02 pace, so which is not bad. All right, let us now look into cadence, but just a reminder, mile 1 to 3, we are using the OG Streakfly, and then mile 3 to 6, we are using the Streakfly 2. So let me just go ahead and expand my cadence. Here you go, and then we're gonna change it to over distance. So as you can see on the dots, we are more consistent in our cadence on the OG versus the Streakfly 2. You can see there's more up and down here. So I think I'm getting more tired here, so fatigue is also another issue or concern here. That is why there's inconsistency on our cadence. But overall, we are at 185. We are averaging 185 steps per minute on the OG. It is the same thing for the Streakfly 2. There is a small spike here, but because I think my pace dropped. So I was trying to increase my cadence to, bump up the speed, bump up my pace. But other than that, I would say cadence-wise, it is pretty even for both shoes. The next thing we're going to talk about is vertical oscillation. The goal is to have a lower range. It is more economical for you to stay in the lower range because you're not wasting a lot of energy from that bouncing up and down. But keep in mind that the faster you go, the higher also is your vertical oscillation. So let me actually go ahead and expand this one. So as far as the vertical oscillation range, the goal that we're looking at is in the blue and the green. So we're looking at mile 1 to 2 for the OG Streakfly, and then mile 4 to 5 for the Streakfly 2. As you can see, the vertical oscillation for the OG, I'm actually bouncing up more on the vertical oscillation chart or range percentile. On the green means that you're actually bouncing higher, and then if you're in the blue, you're bouncing less. You can see that over here on the OG, I'm more in the green, so I'm bouncing more on that shoe. There's less blue here compared to this one. On mile 4 to 5, there's more blue. If you look at that, compare this area right here, the blues are some blues here, some blues there, some blues there, but it's more green. But here on the 4 to 5, there's more blues spread out. So that's crazy. Even with the carbon fly plate, you can see that I'm bouncing more on the OG Streakfly. So I guess as far as running economy, vertical oscillation, the Streakfly 2 wins on that category. As far as the ground contact time, this indicates the amount of time your foot is in contact to the ground. So basically, you wanted to have a ground contact time of 300 milliseconds and below. So your goal is in the blue and green percentile. Okay. All right. So let's expand this one and then do over distance. All right, so overall I'm looking at mile 1 to 2. It's pretty close. So let's look at the numbers. We are around 220, 223, 27, 24, 22, 23. So we're averaging around 220 on the OG. On the Streakfly 2, okay, we have 229, 230, 239, 228, 219. So the shortest ground contact time we have is 218 on this one, and then on the OG is 220 milliseconds. So that's crazy. I mean, that tells me that as far as efficiency, we have a shorter ground contact time on the version 2. As far as ground contact time and efficiency, the Streakfly 2 wins this category. Next thing we're going to look at is the stride length. Now for stride length, it's hard to have a general kind of stride length, but if you wanted to compare Eliud Kipchoge, his stride length is, I think, around 200, somewhere around, no, not 200, but I think it's 2 meters, not 200. But that's his average stride length, and he's a pro. But it could vary from person to person. Just in general, for me, I try to keep it between somewhere below 2 meters. So again, we're gonna switch it to overtime. Not overtime, but over distance. All right, so for mile 1 to 2, we are averaging around 115, somewhere around there. And then for the version 2, we are averaging around, I would say 110, 107. So for what I notice here is that for my stride length, I have a shorter stride length on the version 2 versus the OG. That's probably because on the OG, I have a higher vertical oscillation, so I'm bouncing more. So I'm able to get a full extension on my legs when I'm pushing on my toe off, versus on the version 2 I have a lower vertical oscillation, so I'm not bouncing high enough for me to have a full extension on my toe off on the Streakfly 2. So that's probably why, even though I am averaging the same cadence on both shoes. So I mean, I would say for running economy, I think the version 2 still wins on this category. Now, next thing we're gonna look into is watts. So how interpret this is that the more watts you put, it means that you're exerting a lot more effort in moving forward. So let's go ahead and expand this one and look over distance and look for mile 1 to 2. There's no number, but I'm just basing it on the graph. You can see that on 400 watts we are hitting past close to 430, 440 watts on the OG. So we have a higher spike here versus right here. So it means that I am not exerting a lot of effort to move forward on the Streakfly 2, but on the OG, I'm needing more power to move forward on my toe offs. So for running efficiency, again, the Streakfly 2 wins in this category. That is it for our data analysis on both shoes. Overall, these are great data that we have captured on our workout for today. I am more confident on the Streakfly 2 as far as running efficiency. Although this is just one test, I would probably need to do several tests to have my final thoughts. But just this data alone, I'm sold on the changes and the improvement on the Streakfly 2. Alright, so who are these shoes for? Now, if you are racing a 5K or 10K and you want something lighter and more aggressive than your daily trainer, both versions deliver. But based on the data, I feel that the version 2 is a more efficient shoe for my speed workouts. I'm able to increase my efficiency by hitting my target cadence, vertical oscillation, ground contact time, and stride length. I'm also saving more energy by lowering the watts I need to move forward on the version 2. So for me, the version 2 is a clear winner and it's worth the upgrade. Now, if you are a newer runner or you want something more forgiving, the Streakfly OG is your friend. It is more stable, it's better structured, and it feels like a safer bet. But if you are an experienced runner who loves minimal, snappy shoes, the Streakfly 2 has the stripped down speed feel. Think cross country with the ZoomX bounce. So, should you buy the Streakfly 2? Well, if you already have the original and you love it, well, you don't need to upgrade unless you've outworn it or you want more efficient shoe. But if you didn't love the original Streakfly and maybe you feel that it is too soft or dead, then the Streakfly 2 is a strong update. Nike listened and it shows. Alright, that is the breakdown of both shoes. Are you team OG Streakfly or are you team Streakfly 2? Drop a comment and let me know your pick. And if you have run either of these shoes, share your experience. Your feedback helps other runners to figure out what works for them. If you found this video helpful, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more running reviews, training tips, racing contents, and family adventures. Until next time, God bless. I'll see you on the next video.